How's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining us here for Emerald City Hockey Post Game Live. RJ, the Kraken, they were not able to get 3 in a row on the road. However, this game looks so much different than the last time we saw this team lose. This was a hell of a performance from the Kraken. There's just no way else to put it.
Right. The effort was absolutely there. The execution was there for pretty much all of the game. And it's a tough one because sometimes you can play your game and play your best and just go out there, and sometimes you lose. That's just what happens. You can't win all 82, even if you're playing really well. But I think a lot of encouraging signs in this one, despite not picking up a point here.
Yeah, and bad bounces happen. We saw that on basically 2 of the goals that the Kraken allow in this one, and that very much is the difference. Great penalty kill work against a very dangerous power play. I think that's a huge takeaway from this game that I'm sure we'll talk about later on. Kraken power play staying hot. Shane Wright getting another one on the power play. That's encouraging signs. And just the fact that they came out and, they got outshot pretty handedly really throughout this one, but especially in the first half of this game. But they still had effort while it was happening, right? Like they weren't able to dictate the pace of play the way they were for the first 2 games of this road trip, but they didn't roll over either. And that was a very encouraging sign early on in this one. It's how I knew this game was going to be close no matter what. I really thought the Kraken had a chance going into that third period too. It's just tough bounces. They just happen in hockey. That's why this is a sport where, as we say, underdogs can walk in, huge underdogs, and on any given night, they can walk out of there with a win because of some of the stuff that we saw tonight that kind of befell the Kraken.
Right. There were a lot of tough bounces in this one, and it felt like it was all going to come down to a bounce. Like they easily could have gotten one. That Brandon Montour chance toward the very end to tie it, like they were that close. It was a back and forth game, and just whoever ended up getting the last bounce, it seemed like was going to win this one.
Yes. Now I do have, before we get to the super chats, let me just lift her up here. She's on the couch. She was doing everything she could to get in here to see everybody. I have the desk as a standing desk right now for my back, and so she's just not quite tall enough. But here's Afra. She is here. I'll give her some treats while she watches us do this, and then I'll kick things off here with Light, the first super chat tonight. Bummed at the loss, but if these last 3 games are how the Kraken are going to keep playing, we will be a good team the rest of the season. I'll accept the L. I'm with Light on this one. Like I kind of accept this loss, this L, because like I said, the effort was there. You got a good performance from Grubauer. I'm sure we're going to talk about that a couple times throughout tonight, but what a bounce back game from him. Just the some of the saves he was making in this one, the way he was able to stay strong in his crease, how aggressive he was at times coming out and really challenging the Devils shooters. I thought all of that was very encouraging. Given the last time we saw him, it was arguably his worst game ever in a Kraken sweater.
Yeah, that was my biggest worry going into this one is, okay, what are we going to see from Philip Grubauer? Because if he played the way he did in San Jose, it didn't matter how well the Kraken played. They were going to lose this one and by a lot. But this was the bounce back game that Philip Grubauer needed and that the team needed from him, right? He was just solid all the way around. And the Devils are a team that likes to move the puck around a lot east to west. They like to make a lot of fancy plays in the offensive zone and off the rush. Grubauer really wasn't buying any of that. And I think this is one where he matches up against a team like the Devils a little bit better than Joey Decord too, because they will try and pull a goalie out of position. And Grubauer just wasn't having it. He was kind of staying in his net, staying solid and just covering everything down low. And then that breakaway save against Jack Hughes is the one that stands out to me. Pivotal moment in the game. And he doesn't fall for the little can opener move that Hughes tries, right? Hughes is going to try and put a little fancy move on him. It's not a straightforward shot. And Grubauer just wasn't buying it at all.
No, he looked just like a different goaltender in this one from that game in San Jose. Very needed. I think this should give them a lot more confidence in Grubauer moving forward. It'll allow you to spell Joey maybe a little bit more, which can only benefit him as well, it seems like right now. Great game all the way around from that aspect. And like I said, two of those goals, I mean, those are just bad bounces. Like there's just nothing you can do about them if you are the goaltender there. But this was also the kind of game that, look, we knew Grubauer is capable of it. I thought he still had it in him if he could find that place and play with the aggressiveness and stay on it the way he was in this one. And that's why I was saying I don't know that they need to necessarily call somebody up or send him down to the minors or something like that. Like give him one more game, see how he could rebound from that, because I really felt like he wanted to come out there and have a performance like we saw tonight. And that was certainly a good enough performance to get the win. I felt
Yeah,
like.
the one more game is key because honestly, if there was another bad performance, I would say this is the one where you kind of have to send him down, try somebody else, make a drastic move. I think that was probably in the back of his mind as well, and he stepped up.
Yeah, yeah. Kraken fan with the next super chat. Gru can have the best game ever, and the Kraken will still lose. Also, how did Monty miss that goal? Special teams did look good, though. I mean, that is part of it. It just seemed like no matter how good Gru plays, he is destined to lose. While a member of the Seattle Kraken.
I know he's hasn't always played the best, but he's had some pretty bad luck also when he's in net. It's been well documented, whether it was the lack of goal support or bounces or just whatever happened tonight. And then on the Montour one, I feel like you're just trying not to miss it wide on the side that you're on, and you overcorrect, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah, it maybe rolls off a little bit there too, but that is a brutal one. That's the first time, I'm not gonna lie, that I've kind of like celebrated a goal too early, because I saw that play develop. First off, beautiful look at a play developing there from the Kraken. Perhaps the most beautiful like kind of way they've developed a play all season, potentially ever, from the Seattle Kraken. Not gonna lie, the way they just had the Devils completely chasing the play and they were one step ahead of them the whole way, and the way Montour breaks in there and is able to, just get Markstrom to he's completely bit towards the other side. He's just way out of the crease. Like, it was just a phenomenal setup. I don't want that to get lost in the disappointment with the end result. But once Markstrom bit and was that far out of the crease, RJ, and that far out of the way, I said, yes, like, there we go. That's it. That's the tying goal. And then, of course, it did not happen. It's not often that I get that excited before actually waiting for the result, but I did there because I really thought, I was just so pumped to see that level of play from the Kraken. I was blown away.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I saw it developing the same way, and you knew it was going to, and especially as Markstrom slides there to try and poke and take it away. As soon as Montour cleared him, I was with you.
Yeah, how is it not? Special teams, though, the last bit there from Kraken fan. Special teams in this one was fantastic. I am liking that, at least for that, quote unquote second unit, or maybe it's their first unit now, who knows? Whichever unit has Shane Wright on it for the power play for the Kraken, I'm liking that they've just kind of figured out that, like, oh, Shane's got a really good shot. If we just kind of set him up and we find those cross ice passes to him, he's going to be able to bury the puck. This was something we talked about after that game in San Jose, actually, right? Where we were talking about Shane kind of lurking on that backside. And I mean, if they could just find a way to get diagonal or cross zone passes over to him, RJ, this would be the end result. And they were able to do one tonight with a beautiful feed from Tolvanen.
And I talked to Shane about that after that Sharks game. I was asking him about kind of finding those spots on the back door and being open, because that was really the first time we saw that from him on that look. And he admitted it wasn't really a place where he was super familiar, and that's not the normal spot that he was put in. But he said, I'm going to try and be comfortable wherever Jess puts me on that power play. And it seems like he's found a home there at that back door and on that power play goal. I mean, that he's wide open. That pass is there to him, but the play to keep the puck in, that's incredible. The diving effort to keep it in, which really starts the whole thing, because the Devils are trying to fly the zone already at that point. And that's why he's able to get back behind everybody else. Love that play all around from Shane. And 5 goals in 7 games for him since being a healthy scratch. A lot of them on the power play. And I know some people pointed that out. I think I saw a Habs fan and they're like, well, how many of them at 5-on-5? And look, has Shane Wright been a bit of a power play merchant recently? Maybe, but you know what the Kraken needed, maybe more than anything else? A power play merchant.
Exactly.
Shane Wright is doing everything the Kraken need him to do right now.
Exactly. And then the PK came up big, stopping the Devils a couple times. That was absolutely huge, and something that was a little unexpected. I'm not gonna lie, but good work from the penalty killers tonight. Gary with the next one. They finally found their never give up mindset that they lost years ago. So pumped. That's the feeling that made me fall in love with them year one. And I think you're right on the money there, Gary. They are back to that team that never says die. They had another big push at the end of this one. I mean, incredible work to keep the Devils from scoring on the empty net, RJ, but also just to keep pressure on them in New Jersey's end of the ice. It was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the Kraken, like, they did not give up in this one. They kept it going throughout the whole game, and the empty net efforts to all season that we've seen from them. That's one area where actually consistently they've had that effort. I felt like one was going to go for them. It always feels like that, really.
Yeah, no, it does. They had it, and then Evan here with the next one. Hot take, we didn't really play that hard in the third, but it was a good game, even if it was a loss. But Shane got another goal, and Gru looked good. I'll say this. I do feel like if there was one time tonight where the Kraken did come out a little bit flat, or at least the Devils were able to truly kind of get a leg up on them, it was to start the third period there. Felt like the first 2, 3, 4 minutes of that third period, the Kraken were really kind of chasing things.
They were. They really didn't start on time in the third period there. I think we have to admit that, and that was a problem for him in this game. I think it turned out to be. I was thinking about it a little bit more too, and I think that was what, period 9 since the rock bottom turnaround, right? And the Kraken had played 8 straight periods of just really focused, really solid hockey, right? And it's just hard to keep that going for long stretches. And I think it felt like that one, after 2 good periods against the Devils, they put themselves in position. I think complacency maybe crept in just a little bit there in the similar way that it did in the last, 10 minutes or so against the Islanders. That's the enemy that you have to keep fighting, and you have to do it every game.
Right. And you know what? It felt like they did respond mid-period to it in this one, and they were able to find their game again, and they were able to come out and get a lot of shots in a game where they struggled at times, but they really finished out that last final 15, especially with the huge push for the last 5 minutes. But I thought they did a good job of responding there. It's just unfortunate that you get that kind of bad bounce off of Dunn's stick that kind of teed up. I think it was Timo Meier for that last goal that just, is unfortunate.
It was just chaos everywhere.
Yeah, it was just tough. And then back over with the super chat, Gru, Turbo, Shane Wright, power play goals, and GM Ron Francis's press bridge scratch sermons. I mean, we've talked about Gru, we talked about Shane Wright, Turbo with the effort in this one. I mean, that one sequence where he was able to draw that penalty late for the Kraken to get that third period power play look. I mean, he was just a one-man machine there. That's some of the most impressive individual effort stuff that I've seen in the NHL in a long time. And I mean, big surprise, it comes from Brandon Tanev.
Yeah, and the puck just kept following there. I was thinking, is he just going to try and push this puck in inch by inch through 3 or 4 Devils? Just almost like a football play, right? When you see the pile just going on and moving forward and forward. That's what it looked like to me. Great effort by Brandon Tanev there. And I mean, the press bridge scratch sermons, I think is worth bringing up too. Andre Burakovsky scores a beauty in his return from being healthy scratched. The Kraken haven't missed on those this year, right? Whether it's Bjorkstrand, Shane Wright, and now Andre Burakovsky, just the guys are getting the message they need to get. And it just shows how effective that can be as a tool. And it's really not a tool the Kraken ever used before this season.
No, and I'll keep coming back to this point. I know I've made it before and everybody's probably tired of hearing it, but I just think it is so important, and it shows a big difference between previous Kraken groups and this one this year and how effective this has been for them. But when you have a coaching staff that is going to make a decision like that with a reason, and they're going to go and explain that reasoning to the player and work with the player on the reason that they've pulled them out of the lineup, and to get them back and make it clear that, look, we're doing this, yes, for the team and everything like that, but we're also doing this so that we can work with you to help you become a better player, which was very much all of the messaging that we got with Shane Wright. And I'm sure it's been similar with an Andre Burakovsky, where it's just, look, we're just trying to get you right. We're going to help you get right so that you can go out there and play the game that you want to be playing and have the success you want to have. When you have a coaching staff that can just so effectively do that and get that message across and work with that player and just really have it all come together, it's really something, isn't it? And there's not a lot of coaches staffs that can do it as efficiently as it seems like this one can, or at least that they've been able to in the short term here lately. But it is really, really impressive. And it's something that I will continue to bring up every time we see somebody join this lineup again after one of these healthy scratches, and they come out there and they are able to play in a way that they weren't playing before.
And the more examples you have of it working, I think the more effective it gets going forward. Burakovsky can look back at Bjorkstrand and Wright as examples of kind of how to do that and take that reset the right way. And whenever the next time comes that you have a player that's underperforming, I'm sure there will be another time this season, right? You can probably do the same thing, and they can look at that example, and really it helps with the buy-in of that message. They were talking about it in the broadcast. JT and Forsland were saying that the first reaction is always frustration, right? You're angry because you want to play and you want to get back in the lineup, but you need to kind of take that step back and then observe and do that proper reset. And I think it just gets easier and easier the more that you see it successfully work on your own team.
Exactly. Light with another super chat here. No point, but thought Matty looked great again. I agree. Matty Beniers has just been, he's been playing really well. I thought, without Yanni Gord, I was kind of like, okay, let's see, because Yanni's been giving him a lot of time and space, taking some of the pressure off of him. But I thought Matty responded really well to not having Yanni on his wing in this one, RJ. He kind of still looked like the Matty that we've seen from these last couple games, where he's just playing with that little extra confidence. He's starting to go more and more into the slot, into the more dangerous areas in the offensive zone. He's not trying to do everything there in the offensive zone by playing on the half boards and trying to get to the inside and trying to go to the corner. It does look like he's kind of, simplified his game, but it's made him just look a lot more dangerous offensively while still retaining that defensive acumen that we know him for.
And his line, even without Yanni Gord on it, was the best on the team at 5-on-5 in terms of expected goals percentage. If I'm looking at it at Money Puck, it was 40%, but it was still best on the team among the forward lines. And I don't think it's getting to him. I don't think it's getting in his head, but I do think Matty is wondering what he has to do to get one to go in to score a goal. I mean, the last game, he couldn't believe it on some of the chances that he got. This one, the one that stands out to me, is the play where he had Markstrom pretty much beat short side, and then Markstrom almost kind of throws the stick out there,
Yes.
and the stick goes just flying into the corner, but it stops Matty's chance. And I think he's probably thinking, just, what more do I have to do? Because that was a perfectly placed shot. I don't think it's negatively affecting his play, but it just feels like he's due for one.
It does feel like he's due for one. I will give you that. I also like, and I want to highlight this, he's taking shots on the power play, right? Like he's utilizing that player movement kind of on that new side for him, where he's kind of playing on the left side there. And he's willing to go in and walk in and take a shot if he thinks it's there. He's looking for guys in the bumper spot. He's not just passing it back to the point. He's in a different spot than when he was kind of the down low net side type player, but he looks like he wants it. He looks like he's really gunning for it. And I think that that's something that, frankly, we kind of needed to see from his game if he was going to take that next step in the offensive zone. Cody, to play like that on a back-to-back is super respectable. Love Berkey's pace and Gruby's attack. Heck of a game, and hopefully a sign of what's to come. I mean, I hope that this is the Kraken's identity kind of really for the rest of the season, RJ, because I think if it is, this team can really do something here, particularly in a crowded and tight right now Western Conference.
Yeah, the window is open because you're going to pick up points way more often than not if you're playing like this. The Kraken are back to a team that is beating the teams they're supposed to beat, and convincingly, like they did against the Islanders, and they're playing the good teams close again. With the win against Carolina, playing the Devils really close. I mean, this one's just a bounce away from getting a point or more in this one. That's exactly how you make the playoffs, is you just pick up points in most of those games. And they've got a few games. I mean, the next one against New York is going to be really interesting given the changes they made today. But if you go out there and attack them, there's no reason why you can't beat the Rangers coming up.
Exactly. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Speaking of with Berkey, we didn't talk about the goal specifically, RJ, but Andre Burakovsky with that snipe, like in the only place really that I'm sure from that angle he had was to try to hit that corner perfectly. And I don't know that you could hit a corner more perfectly than what Andre Burakovsky did on that goal tonight.
And I'm glad you brought up the shot, because I do think that actually is the most impressive part of the goal. I know he starts off around his own blue line and skates around Luke Hughes. I don't know what Luke Hughes is doing there. I feel like most defensemen probably should make that turn and stick with Berkey, but the shot really is what is impressive and stands out to me, because Markstrom has almost no time to react and get his glove up, and it was just a perfectly placed shot.
Yeah, it was a good one for sure. JTB Hockey here with the next super chat. Appreciate all the super chats, by the way, everybody. Get the win Sunday against the Rangers, and it'll be a hugely successful road trip. Loving the recent Kraken energy and pace of play. I think it's one where, if you're able to get the win against the Rangers, RJ, obviously you take 3 of 4 on this road trip. You're walking away from that. That's a huge victory for you, especially given how the end of the previous week went for you. Even if they're not able to get that win there, or you take an OTL or something like that, if you're just able to come out and play similar to the way that you played tonight, which has been, similar to this whole road trip, I'll still take that as a big win. The Kraken going out, they're able to split the road trip, but play hard, play the right way, play a full 60, give or take 5 minutes here or there. I would absolutely take that given what we saw from this team before the road trip started.
That's what I'm looking for, even more than the result in the next game, is just if they can keep this level of play going. Because it's a matter of, I think, just trusting the process at this point. If you come out and you give this kind of effort and play this way every game, it'll take care of itself. The results will happen for you over the long run. You may not win every game. You may have some games like this one against New Jersey that can be frustrating, but you're going to get enough points in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll also be interesting because it's going to be an early game, right? The 10 o'clock start out here on the West Coast. I am curious to see if that does anything to kind of shake the way the team is playing right now because they have that matinee start. Be interesting.
One encouraging sign, though, real quick, is that the Kraken tonight did not look like a team on the second half of a back-to-back, did not look like how they'd looked in those positions. And so hopefully that's just the next milestone that they can kind of shake off.
That's another aspect about tonight that I think the Kraken should be proud of, and I think a lot of the fan base is going to be as well. Kraken coming off a back-to-back. Devils had 3 days of rest going into this one, right? The fact that you on the second half of a back-to-back were able to play that close with the Devils team that was really able to kind of sit back and prepare for you specifically, I think that was impressive.
And we didn't even mention. Oh no, I've cut Light off twice. I'm sorry, we didn't even mention that though when we talked about starting the third a little bit slow. That maybe fatigue had something to do with it, but I think the team just overall played so well that the thought didn't even cross our minds.
That's true. That is true. We good? You good? Anything
We're
else?
Good. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Super chat from Light. Thank you, Light.
Super chat from Light. Third one tonight. Thank you very much, Light. Also, are we prepared to talk about Shane having more goals this year than Bedard? Just saying, y'all. Imagine what happens when we have Berkeley Catton. I mean, Catton will just add a whole nother dimension to this team. But yes, that is true. Connor Bedard is sitting on 5 goals this year. Unless he's playing tonight, it's possible he's playing tonight, in which case he might get back up to Shane's level, RJ. You know, Shane, that guy, that bum, that bust. That guy who needed to be sat down for 3 games. More goals than Connor Bedard this year, everybody.
And imagine what will happen if he actually plays 17 minutes in a game. If Shane ever gets to that point, which I don't know that we'll ever see, but Connor Bedard's out there for almost 20 minutes a night. And imagine what Shane could do in that time.
I can't even, because I just don't know that we'll ever see it.
We've never seen
it. So it's hard for me to imagine given the time on ice he's gotten. Evan with another one. Appreciate this one. With games going this well, I can't help but to worry about what we're going to do with our cap situation when Ebbs comes back. Don't want to lose 13. Look, if the Kraken are in it at all, RJ, and they're competing for a playoff spot, I don't see how Ron Francis is going to sell anybody off of this team, particularly a guy like Brandon Tanev, who has played so well really this past month. I would say last 2-3 weeks anyway, he's been playing out of his mind. If the Kraken are really going for it, and I think Ron Francis very much wants them to be going for it, it would take like basically an overpay of an offer, I think, before he would consider moving a guy like Brandon Tanev off of this group.
And I know the cap would necessitate certain things, although with the Eberle injury, I mean, we really don't know what the timeline for return on that. Remember, it was at least 3 months. This could easily be one of those where he doesn't come back in time for the playoffs. I know that 3 months gets you to what, like February or March?
Yeah.
February, but the at least part of it to me and just the nature of the injury tells me that it's going to be a long time before we're having to think about those trade-offs.
Yeah. And look, they would have the option of just going back down to the 20-man roster. Like
they could,
like they don't necessarily
not ideal,
have
but they could.
But as long as everybody's healthy and it works, you could do that. Elizabeth with the super chat here, big one. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Dang it, Kraken lost the sweep, but feels like we won by finding the ECH community. So glad Gru looked better. Team hung with the Devils and always happy when 51 finds the back of the net. Hope you're on the mend, RJ.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate that. Doing a little bit better, just kind of inching better and better every day. So, but I do enjoy doing this. This is probably the best I felt today is being able to do this because you just forget about being sick when everybody's here with you. So this is great to be able to do it. Yeah, thank you for the big super chat. I love this community. And I mean, just look at it. Grubauer looking better made me feel better today. That was my biggest worry. Like, I couldn't tell if it was that I was just like a little like nauseous or feeling something in my stomach from being sick, but I think it was just worrying about Grubauer playing another game, but none of that anymore. It went away as soon as he made a couple big saves.
Yeah, it was obvious from the beginning. He was really feeling it in this one. At least to me, I thought so, and I was happy to see that one. Yeah, your voice definitely sounds stronger tonight. And with the community, I mean, I think granted, we've just been kind of here in the super chats, and again, thank everybody for all of the super chats here. but I'm sure over in the regular comment section, it's all been good too, and we'll get to that shortly. But like just being on the Discord and everything through this game, like what a difference a week makes with with everybody's mindset and being able to come out here. I mean, you and I have basically had a smile on our face this entire time, and this is coming off of a loss, right? We've been talking about positive things. I know, like we've been talking about all these positive things, all the improvements that guys have made, the consistency that they're starting to play with, all of that stuff, and it definitely feels infectious, not just for us, but for everybody in the community. And the community is just a much better place when the Kraken are winning, doing good, and everybody can be happy.
Yep. I even popped it in the Discord for a bit. I'm usually pretty busy on the social media, but it just looks like so much fun in there that I had to look at it today.
Yes, and speaking of, Ethan here with the next super chat, Groovy blocked all of the beach balls. Discord gets the joke. Heck of a better feeling loss than the last few. Go beat the Rangers. Yes, there was a lot of talk, sort of online with what you would think with a goaltender having to stop beach balls, but also maybe a little bit more than that. And if you want to know what that's all about, you gotta go check out the ECH Discord.
It's a fun place to be. Good conversation for every Kraken game. A lot of fun inside jokes as well.
Yep. And then Kitty B Kraken, who obviously started a whole thing yesterday.
I know, crazy run.
Crazy run yesterday. Okay, so no sweep, but $250 if they beat the Rangers at MSG and get close. I appreciate that, Kitty B Kraken. Kitty B Kraken's not backing down with this Kraken gotta go win on the road bounty thing.
I know. Yeah. I mean, what, 500 for the 2 wins, and I guess half that for half as many wins.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Respect it, Kitty B Kraken.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching that Rangers game very close.
Yes. And then
early.
Yep. And then Tammy, treats for good girl Afra. Heart to our Kraken coaches. I mean, the coaching staff has really done a lot, RJ. They needed to address a lot. It does feel like they have. And impressive that they've been able to address so much of it on the road. I mean, whether it's the special teams work or just kind of, like I said earlier, right, getting the team to play with that more consistent effort, getting the most out of the guys, the reset of mindsets for both the group, but also individuals, as we see Shane continue to play well, Berkey come in tonight. That's a tough task when you're also dealing with all of the difficulties of a road trip.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes into it from the coaching staff and all the different tasks that they have to work on. And it's not just Dan too. It's Bob, it's Jess, it's Dave Lowry. And as the Kraken have kind of got the power play turned around a little bit too, because I remember when it was struggling as much as it was, right? The heat on Bob, the heat on Jess. And I think the way that they've turned it around, where it's largely been Shane Wright based, he's kind of the key where it all goes through. And I think that maybe there was talk about Jess, she's kind of can be an individual player coach, right? She's, maybe not as much of a tactician, but she's good at working with individuals. I feel like her fingerprints are all over this for Shane and finding a spot for him there that the power play can kind of run through.
Right. I do think like when I would see comments on social media about, Jess not being good enough to be a power play coach or all that kind of stuff. Like, I do think some of it was getting lost. One, she's not the only power play coach this team has. Like, it is a split responsibility. The other thing is she's a skating coach. Like, that is really like what the core root of her coaching comes from, and everything is working with players on individual skills and working with them one-on-one and all of that stuff that she did back when she was a power skating instructor and worked with, numerous NHLers and were able to help so many of them kind of come back and find new life in the NHL and all of that stuff. I'm with you. I think a lot of this stuff with Shane, and this goes for, I think, Dan as well. And really a lot of what I was talking about earlier with the coaching staff and the way they're able to identify what they feel like is going wrong with the player, come up with a solution and a plan of attack for that player, and then going out there and helping them attack the problem at hand and get better and then be able to work back into the team and find success on the ice. It's a hard thing to do because it could be easy to identify a problem. It could be harder to then find a solution. oftentimes when it comes to hockey people and coaches, it feels like the communication with the player there can be the most difficult aspect of all of that. But we know, especially with Jess, just all of the stuff that we've heard from people in Coachella Valley over the last couple seasons, we know that that is one of the things she is really good at, is being able to identify those problems with guys, come up with solutions that they can go out there and work towards. And then she really helps guide them on that journey to getting to, get better at the things that they're struggling with. And I think that, yeah, it would not have surprised me if she was a key part of that, along with other members of the coaching staff, with Shane Wright, to kind of get him into that better mindset, that more aggressive mindset, that mindset to play with the puck more. Don't worry about the play away from the puck, get the puck on your stick and go and do something special. It would not surprise me at all if she was kind of one of the key components of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Got another one here from Michael, super chat. Oh man, never play poker against Kitty B Kraken. I will have to stay in for 50 if we get the next W. Appreciate that, Michael. Really, I still don't really know what to say, especially now after the sweep's out of the cards, RJ.
I know, it's crazy.
Mind blowing.
Tell you what, I would fold every hand. I would be too afraid.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I would need something good, that's for sure. All right. Thanks everybody for the super chats there. Really, really appreciate it. Want to hop over into the comment section here, and just lots of love for the Kraken in this group off the jump here. RJ, Shayna Wright, what a game. Proud of that performance. Virginia, love the hustle out there. Lindsay, well, that was fun. Entertaining loss against a darn good team. GG's Kraken, you'll get the Cryptid Cup back next time. That's true. That elusive Cryptid Cup for the Kraken there. Evan, good loss, good effort. That was a hell of a game from B. I mean, just lots of love for this group here. And that's, like I said, it's just nice to see that, especially after a loss like this. Like, this is just, like I said, night and day from where we were a week ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, heck, even it feels like the opposite of some of those wins they had on the earlier homestand, where they won the game, but we were all thinking, oh, yeah, maybe they didn't play that great. And the first several comments were negative. This is the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. From Stratic here, I know there were only 2 Kraken goals, but curious as to your favorites. I'll let you go first, RJ, but I definitely have one already picked out in my mind.
Okay.
Unless you need me to go first.
Well, no, is yours the Berkey goal?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good, because I was going to pick the Shane Wright goal.
All right, go for it.
I love the individual effort from him keeping that puck in. I love that it's a power play goal. So important, winning the special teams battle in this game. I felt optimistic coming into this game. I thought the Kraken might actually win it. I even told some of my family members, like, they're going to win this. I was predicting it. And I did not think they were going to win the special teams battle. As optimistic as I was, I figured there is no way in hell they win the special teams battle. But they did, and I think that was just a huge part of this game.
It was a huge part of this game, and it was definitely really cool to see from them. And you just, I mean, it was awesome. But that Berkey goal, RJ, and I'm smiling right now because I'm remembering the smile he had after he scored, and then on the bench when he was like talking to Maddie and he was leaning over and he just looked like a little kid, right? Like, they kept showing during the intermissions, they had all the youth hockey players out there in New Jersey and they're skating around doing all of that stuff. When Berkey was on the bench leaning over and talking to Maddie after that goal, I didn't see like Berkey anymore, right? Like, you saw like a 7-year-old who just like did like the thing that they just thought was the coolest thing ever, and they went out there and they did it, and they were just super pumped to just talk about it. And seeing that emotion, that genuine emotion from a guy that we know is emotional and is capable of showing those genuine emotions in a game, like Andre Burakovsky, it was really special. And it made me bummed that we haven't been able to see it more so far this season, but I was really happy to see it tonight from him.
That's a compelling case. I will accept that. Although I'll add one more downside, though. Luke Hughes was so embarrassed on that goal that he had to go create a whole nother one out of thin air and go beat Grubauer with that incredible shot. I have to think those two things are related. Potentially, I will give you that. However, I will say this. Most impressive snipe that we've seen from the Kraken this season? Like, has there been a shot better placed than what Berkey did tonight so far this season? Because I don't think so. I mean, Jared McCann has 10 goals. I can't remember them. I don't have photographic memory of all of them, but I got to at least give the possibility that one of Canner's is better. But it was a great shot.
Okay. Speaking of Jared McCann here, because he is still, he looks a little different right now. And I hope everybody will forgive me. I am going to bring up something negative here 35 minutes into this post-game loss.
Oh, no.
After a loss, okay? Jared McCann doesn't look the same to me since he's been playing with Chandler Stevenson. And I just think it's the fact that he's playing with Chandler Stevenson. I don't know what it is, but we've seen Jaden Schwartz look a lot better since he's been separated from Chandler Stevenson, up playing with Maddie and Yanni or now Berkey. And again, another great performance from Jaden Schwartz there. It just feels like whoever gets stuck there with Chandler Stevenson, RJ, they just kind of fall into the black hole that is Chandler Stevenson, and we don't really notice them in the same ways anymore, or it doesn't feel like they're able to produce in the same ways or get things going in the same way. And I just feel like that's been the case with Jared McCann now, who I would have thought before this was kind of impervious to whoever he played with. He was still going to be Jared McCann, but I do feel like since he's been on the wing of Chandler Stevenson, things have not looked the same with him.
Yeah, and I would have thought again that McCann would be maybe line mate proof, and I think to some extent he might be, but yeah, I think it is rough that he's with Chandler Stevenson, and he's not the only guy. And I actually did pull up this graphic that I believe, I'm so sorry if I don't remember who posted on the Discord. Was it Stratic earlier today about Chandler Stevenson with and without, or players with and without Chandler Stevenson? I'll throw it up right here. This with or without you graphic, and just top right is good, bottom left is bad, and you can see all the different Kraken players without Stevenson toward the top right in red, and then with Chandler Stevenson toward the bottom left in blue, and kind of paints a picture there of maybe him dragging some of these guys down a little bit. So the overall numbers are not good.
Look at that one outlier there, way off to the right, RJ. Can you read that name?
That is Daniel Sprong.
Yep.
So Stevenson apparently makes Daniel Sprong better.
Yes.
But, other than that,
the rest of the group has been a little bit worse. It's an interesting chart. I'm sure, again, sorry to be a bummer for 2 minutes on this post game for everybody, but it is something that I felt like needed to be talked about because I do feel like it might be in part responsible for why we haven't seen Jared McCann kind of look and play the way that we're used to seeing Jared McCann look and play.
Yeah. And we do have some comments in the bottom of the chat, kind of people adding to the conversation, and Virginia saying Canner's missing Eberle. I think that's certainly an element of it. I think that helps. And then some people earlier are talking about Stevenson maybe getting too many minutes in this one. He had a lot of ice time.
I feel like a lot of that though was just for face-off reasons.
Yeah, and the Devils, like, they had Nico Hischier, they had their great face-off guy. You needed somebody maybe to win some draws. I don't know that overall it's worth it given the negative impacts, but who am I to second guess it, I guess.
I was gonna say I'm trying to pull up the face-off numbers. I mean, Maddie was 50% on the draw.
Stevenson was 50%, 12 of 24.
Yeah. I mean, Mitchell Stevens 57.1. So maybe you could go with that. Actually, that's really impressive because I believe at the end of the second period, the Kraken were at 39% on face-offs in this game, and then they finished 51%. I mean, I know Jack Hughes is bad in the face-off RJ, and he was stuck out there after all of those endless icings while they were kind of trying to throw the game away there. The Devils, I did not realize he was going to be so bad as to single-handedly in the third period shift all of the face-off numbers in favor of the Kraken. But yes, Jack Hughes 23.1% tonight on the draw.
Oof. What, 3 for 13 there? Yeah, that's not good. And also, Zoe pointing out, Gino Miaukin was the one who posted that chart. So thank you again to
appreciate that. Yeah. Yep. Chris, 2 and 5 when I see them in the New York City area. Sorry, guys. Happy to be a Kraken fan anyway. That's from Chris there. I know it's brutal every year when you come in and you have to post it. Are you going to the game on Sunday? Maybe there's a chance.
That was my question too. Yeah.
Maybe there's a chance we get you back up a little bit there and we can make that 3 and 5. But no, I hope you're able to enjoy the Kraken when they come out there and you're able to see them, Chris. Brooks, so close. Feel so bad for Montour for the missed goal and for Dunn and Larson for the bad luck. I mean, they have to feel rough after this one, especially, it's Gru's first game back in after that last one, RJ. The last thing you want to do is have the puck go bounce it off of you.
I know. And both of them, it happens to both in different ways. And I don't know which one would you feel worse about? Maybe this is not a fun question, but which one would you feel worse about if you were like in Larson's or Dunn's position? I feel like I'd feel worse if I was in Dunn's position because it was at least on my stick.
Agreed. The fact that it's on your stick, that's the one, right? It just kind of gets away from you a little bit. That's the one that I think is worse because that whole sequence happened in slow motion for him.
Yeah. And you're just trying to clear the danger. Like, that's all you're trying to do. The intentions are right. It's just fortunate.
Let's see. Gonna jump down a little bit. Again, if we skip anything, go ahead and put it in at the bottom of the chat and we'll try to get to it towards the end there. Swimming in the wave. I'm so mad that Gru's exceptional play will not count as a W for him. I just it's just so consistent, RJ. Just every time. Grubauer, does not matter how good he plays. Kraken somehow find a way just to not pick up the consistent W's for him.
I know. At least he gets a quality start because he actually wasn't tracking for that through most of the game. And I was thinking, oh no, this has got to at least be a quality start. But 3.83 expected goals for the Devils per natural stat trick. So he gets the quality start at least.
Yes. And Milo kind of echoing those sentiments there as well. And then this one from Aaron. The opening shift in the third was just awful. 2 unnecessary icings. And what was Tanev doing at the blue line before the goal was scored? Yeah, that was the one time where it felt like they weren't there. The effort wasn't there. The their foot wasn't on the gas. Whatever it is you want to say about it. It was like a 2 or 3 minute section there, because it wasn't just the 53 seconds or whatever it takes for the Devils to score that third goal, RJ, but it was also then like the next couple shifts after as well, where it felt like the Kraken were just trying to survive. Like the Devils were just very much in the offensive zone. They were able to do kind of whatever they wanted. They were able to set up in really dangerous areas, and the Kraken were just chasing the play like crazy. They were just chasing the puck, trying to do, desperation clears. They were not a cohesive unit at all, really, for the start of that one. And it is a little worrying that after the goal, they weren't able to kind of come out and find it after that either. They kind of got caught in that momentum.
Right. Usually the Kraken will have a really good push after allowing a big goal like that. We've seen that from them a lot this season, even when they haven't been playing their best. Didn't see it here, but I think that's just the Devils are so good. You can't go to sleep for even 5 minutes. Like they will make you pay for it.
Yeah. I'm going to bring this up, RJ, just because we talked about one aspect of what the Rangers did today on Red Glare, our patreon.com/Emerald City Hockey exclusive podcast.
I have the schedule up for it too.
I was going to say, yeah, feel free to mention the schedule real quick.
Yeah, so we have the Patreon schedule for this month, December. We got a Red Glare podcast every week, including a new one today where we talked about the Trouba trade actually happened as we were recording. So we got the live reaction to all that stuff going on. We got the Armchair GM stream on the 11th, Prospect Chat on the 18th. And then we're going to watch the Kraken Blackhawks game together on the 19th at 5:30 for the live commentary game. That's the schedule.
Yeah, no, perfect. And having it up there and everything. But Sam here, and we are playing the Rangers next, so I feel like it's appropriate to talk about this here. Anyone find it interesting that Shesterkin was extended literally within the hour after Trouba was traded? Couldn't be a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence. That number also a little lower than I think what Shesterkin was always kind of spouting it was going to be either. I am curious to see what kind of Rangers team we get in this next game, RJ, just because, look, they traded their captain today. Like, not to get lost in everything, but they gave their captain the ultimatum of either accept a trade or we're going to waive you and send you down to the AHL. If just to kind of give everybody an idea of what the Rangers are going through at the moment, that's what happened with them today.
Yeah, a lot going on with the Rangers today. And don't they play today? Do they play?
Oh, they might have played.
That's going. But like a lot going on in New York. Yeah, they beat the Penguins 4-2. So they were able to kind of turn things around a little bit. But yeah, it's very rare that you see a team threaten to waive their captain and kind of give him that trade ultimatum. And Trouba did not hold back too. He said that it was a threat, that it being put on waivers there. So he doesn't seem all that happy about the situation either. A lot going on in that locker room. They're going to be motivated though. I think so. And tonight proved it too. I figured there was 2 ways it could go, right? They could just fall apart completely after something like this, or they could be motivated by it. I think it's going to be the latter. So the Kraken are going to need to bring their A game.
Yes, it is unfortunate because this Rangers team has really been going through it. They kind of got bailed out by Jonathan Quick in that game in Seattle. It felt like, right? It wasn't necessarily that the Rangers played that much better than the Kraken. They had a heck of a goaltending performance from Jonathan Quick. I was really hoping that the Rangers would not find their rallying cry before the Kraken could go there in MSG. Looks like they might have found it, but hey, we'll see. Like, this could have been one of those. It happens tonight. Panarin put up 3 points in this one, scored 2 goals for him. Maybe it was just that, and they'll kind of be right back to some of the stuff that's been ailing them for the season on Sunday. Can hope anyway.
Yeah, and if this road trip has taught us one thing, right? Challenge is a good thing. You don't want to go in against a team that you feel like, oh yeah, they're falling apart. We got the win easy. That's not good for this group.
No, if you're Coach Dan Bylsma, you're telling everybody on the team, look, they just figured their stuff out. we got to be ready for him.
Exactly.
Milo, can we somehow scratch the entire team and just play the Firebirds for one game just to get us into gear? With all the scratches working out well, RJ, I don't know that you could totally figure that out roster limit wise and cap and all of that, but it would be an interesting thing to explore if you could.
Yeah, waivers are a bit of a problem there. I have a feeling some of those guys might get claimed, and given the roster, well, there is no roster size limit after the trade deadline. So I guess if you are far enough under the cap, which the Kraken are certainly not,
no,
you might be able to make something like that work. I could try it on the Armchair GM stream. I don't think we'd get very far though.
Yes. Terrible Lotus, where would they have put Berkey if Yanni had been healthy? I don't think Berkey's in the lineup tonight if Yanni's healthy.
Agreed. I think he would have been a scratch.
Yeah. Now, if Yanni's healthy for the next game, RJ, what do you do?
Oh man, let me look.
Because there's a very good chance that that's going to be the case. I thought about this. I put him back on Maddie's line personally, just because I think they were playing really well. And then I make the call for what my game plan is for the Rangers. I hate to say it because he scored a beautiful goal tonight. It was my goal of the game for the Kraken. I might bench Berkey until for Sunday and then get him back into the lineup once you come home after that.
I'm glad you said it first, because that's what I was thinking.
And again, before anybody says anything, keep in mind I have been Andre Burakovsky's biggest defender this year.
You have.
I'm saying
you have. I had given up on him, and yeah, you've been his biggest defender. So I will give you that. But it's just about fit, right? And I think we've learned that over this road trip, that maybe it's not your best players on paper that are going to be the best fit. It's about the lineup that's going to be right for a given game. And if Yanni's back in the lineup, like Burakovsky on the fourth line, he's not going to help them better accomplish what they're doing. Like they have their own thing that they're doing that Berkey just doesn't fit for.
Exactly. And that would be my issue with it. The only other scenario I would consider, RJ, and again, I don't know that you want to do this for a matinee game at MSG as the last game of your road trip.
I think I know what you're going for.
Oh, do you? Because we were just talking about Chandler Stevenson and everything. I stick Jared McCann at center on the second line, and I stick Berkey on his wing. That's what I would consider.
The center thing. Okay, I didn't see that coming.
Well, if we're trying to get Berkey in the lineup, scratch Chandler Stevenson, see if you can work some of that magic with him.
Yeah, no, I was thinking with McCann. I was just thinking like maybe in Tanev's spot or something with Stevenson and McCann, but I actually kind of like that idea better. I like yours. Yours better.
Yeah, just try to be creative out here. I don't know. It's something to consider. Jared McCann can play center. We do know that about him. And right now it does feel like you have one center that's having a rough time. So I don't know. It's working for everybody else to get him out of the lineup. So
Fire ends on board.
Yeah.
Scratch Stevenson, play Yanni in his spot, leave the rest of the lineup as is. That's Fire End's suggestion.
I like Yanni on Maddie's wing and what it's allowed Maddie to do. That's the only reason why I would do that. And, again, coincidence that Maddie's point streak ends the moment Yanni's off his wing. I don't know. This one from Anthony. After that, feels like we got to go with Grubauer a bit more often, see if you can get both guys rolling and keep Joey fresh. I think it's going to be kind of a game-by-game situation with Grubauer from here on out, but I do think that we might see him sooner in the rotation than we would have previously.
I'm not afraid of it anymore. I'll say that much. It doesn't scare me, the prospect of starting Grubauer. So then I think you kind of play it by ear with how Joey looks and trying to keep him fresh. And maybe you target a game at some point on this next homestand for Gru to come in.
Yeah.
Maybe Ottawa.
Yeah, you can go with that one.
He was good there last time. The one in Ottawa, they just didn't score for him.
No, and like I said, I feel like from an eye test standpoint, he looks like a different player at home. So, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Brooke, if Berkey could score twice in one game, I'll stop being a hater. It's fair. It's been a while. It's been a while since that's happened. Let's see.
When the last time was.
Yes. Shane has as many goals in the last 2 games as Slough has had all season. It's from Julia. So, Habs fans. It might not be 5-on-5, but at least they're goals. He's scoring.
Definitely don't post that anywhere with the Habs hashtag. Seriously, don't. Actually, you will not like the responses that you get.
Yes. And then Rallyard Evo Stevenson with 22 minutes of ice time, 4 minutes more than the next closest forward. Again, we talked about it already, but it's blowing me. Just seeing it is just different.
I guess that's what he was paid to do and brought in to do, is just munch those minutes so that Shane and Maddie don't have to or don't get to, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Bryce, don't worry. Stevenson has another 6.5 years to figure it out.
All right, let's not make this a Chandler Stevenson post game.
Yes. Let's see. There's all the talk about Chandler Stevenson is kind of where I'm at here. If you weren't able to kind of figure that one out.
Yeah.
Wow, he goes on for a minute. just saying. CJ, just remembered Sprong is still here, lol. Will we ever see him again? So this was one of the things I wanted to ask you, RJ. With the scratches kind of helping and guys have been able to come back into the lineup and play well, are we expecting the next time we see Daniel Sprong, whenever that is, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be soon, are we expecting him to come out and have an 8-goal performance?
8 goals, huh? I mean, I guess, yeah, if you scratch him for that,
does he score the Ovi trick?
The Ovech
trick, yes.
Was that 8 or 9? I know he's number 8, but like, was that like a triple?
I thought the whole thing was that it was 8 because that's
okay. It probably was 8. That would make sense.
Old ad.
His number. In a word, no. I don't think we'll see Daniel Sprong do that. It's gonna take.
Playing it safe, huh?
I know.
Playing it safe on a night where Kitty v Kraken's not. You're gonna play it that safe, RJ?
I don't want to know how much money Kitty v Kraken will throw at us if Daniel Sprong scores 8 goals in a game. I think we'll have our like retirements paid for and all that. That would be pretty insane. But where was I going with this? Yeah, no, Sprong, he'll come back into the lineup. Probably it might take a couple injuries because it just he doesn't fit with the new identity of this team.
No,
he really just does not fit. And so it's going to take a necessity of kind of him getting in the lineup. Heck, I mean, with Mitchell Stevens even doing what he's doing, I wonder if the injuries happen, maybe even call up another Firebird that just fits better with the system. But you know what? That's fine because you didn't actually give up anything for him in the trade. That's the other thing that can fix the cap situation once Eberle does return, far in the future, is you can just send Daniel Sprong down. Might even be fun to watch him play for the Firebirds a little bit. Like he would tear it up with them.
It would be really fun to kind of see him.
The fans in CV deserve that.
Yeah. And maybe that would be wild there. I don't see any scenario where outside of substantial injuries he gets back in the lineup just because of how the way that the team is playing and really the play we saw from him when he was in the lineup. Like, they were playing some not stiff competition there, RJ, and he got the 1 goal and, he looked dangerous at times, but there was just the defensive black hole was just too much to ignore, I think.
Look, we know what he is. We know what he brings. And unfortunately for him, the team just kind of changed its identity right after acquiring him. That said, I do think he can still bring value on a 4th line if you just limit him to 12 minutes a night and you have a 4th line that's going to go out there and be able to counterattack and you play him with some defensively responsible players. We saw it 2 years ago with the Kraken. Like, I think you put him in, heck, even like in Ryan Winterton's spot or something, if there's an injury, like say something happened to Winterton, you put him in that spot, I think he'd still do okay. Like that's the one part where I think he can have a useful role in the NHL. Problem was they tried putting him in the top 6 earlier this season. Like that's just not going to work. I'm past that point. Like that just won't work. As much as I love Sprong, top 6 isn't going to work.
Okay. All right. I'll take that from you there.
And then Milo asking real quick, because we do get this question. What is the future considerations to Vancouver? Oh, sorry. Never mind. I misread this. What if the future considerations to Vancouver just sending Sprong back? That'd be funny.
It would be extremely funny. Like,
I don't think Sprong would be pleased with that.
I was going to say, you're playing hot potato with Daniel Sprong, basically. Like, no, you take him.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a good educational opportunity. That was actually just a really funny comment.
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, would you care to answer the question that we do get often about?
Yes, I will answer that since I brought it up. Yeah, future considerations just means nothing. I can't recall an actual time where future considerations meant something.
I can't in hockey. I've seen it mean something in other sports, like in baseball, and it's, again, usually nothing. It's like, oh, this guy we like in the 49th round of the draft is there. It's time to pay up, buddy. basically nothing.
And maybe there is something like that in hockey where the guy's GM goes over the draft table in the 7th round and be like, hey, remember that? But nothing we would ever know about.
We're swapping picks here. We have seen that late in NHL drafts where a team just swaps like 6th or 7th round picks, and you're just like, why would you just trade down like 5 spots or whatever?
The one I remember was like with the Devils, I think drafted Martin Brodeurs' son.
Yeah.
That was one of those where you just kind of throw him a bone.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. There was this that I wanted to talk about because Byron said, please, no McCann at center again. Every time McCann gets played at center, his ice time craters, and I would like that to stop. Do you think, given the ice time that he has been getting this year, RJ, that it would go down if he played center? Because I don't know that it would really go down that much, to be honest.
I don't know that there's much room realistically, like, for it to go down, given that like he's averaging 1747, which is actually a lot more than he had in previous seasons. So at least there is that. I guess I would worry about that, because I did ask Dan about McCann's ice time and why he plays so much less than other players with similar production. And he talked about, the quality of the ice time, not necessarily the quantity, and that he can get more in those shifts. And so knowing that is on Dan's mind, I don't know, maybe he would try and pull something like that. So I share your worry, actually, Byron.
I am worried about it too. I'm genuinely shocked to open it up and see that he got 1834 tonight. That is a lot of ice time for Jared McCann.
It's because he's attached to Chandler Stevenson.
It's because he's attached to Chandler Stevenson. I do think there is something about that, which is, again, insane.
That's the only way to get McCann real ice time. Is to
it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it does not make sense to me at all. But that does appear to be where we are at with it. So yes, maybe you're onto something there with it. I would like to see it once under this coaching staff, right? Like, I would like to see him kind of maybe play at center with this coaching staff, with this system that the Kraken are running, just to see how it would go. Because I think it's potentially worth a shot if you feel like you do need to maybe sit a Stevenson for a game or two and see if you can up his play after that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point.
Yeah. And then this from Virginia: do you think the team has mostly adjusted to the new systems? So I think that they had adjusted and it wasn't good enough with the previous system, like the version 1.0 of the system, right? I think this latest update that the Kraken have kind of installed for this road trip, and after that, the terrible games against the California teams, I think they are starting to adjust to that. And look, a lot of it isn't that the system has necessarily changed, although they've added to it. Like, that's why I would consider this like a 1.1 or a 1.2 update, if we're speaking in like software terms, because what they did was they kept the want to kind of play the 200-foot game. It's just that they finally came up with a cycle strategy in the offensive zone of, okay, we made it into the offensive zone. Maybe we weren't able to attack off the rush. Maybe that attack off the rush didn't go in. What do we do now? Well, they now do have a plan on how they want to cycle the puck. They're doing it a little bit quicker. It's about quicker passing. They're not holding on to it as much as they are cycling. It's kind of just, off and on their sticks. And I think that that's been a big improvement. And I am starting to think on this road trip, RJ, that they're getting the hang of it, because there were times like tonight, whether it was the Montour chance and how fast that was able to develop, or even some of the other looks the Kraken were able to get. I know that it was limited tonight. They only had 19 shots, but we are seeing them kind of just, puck on their stick, puck off their stick, and they just know where to go with it. And that is not something that we really saw from them even a week ago.
Right. And it's getting faster. It's getting crisper. It's getting smoother. And I think an important thing to note on that is that the Kraken haven't had a whole lot of time to practice since that San Jose game, and since figuring all this stuff out, especially with the new identity and the new way they want to play. So sometimes game reps have to be the practice. And I think they're starting to get that enough that we're seeing a noticeable difference.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a chat that I wanted to get to. This one from Light. Don't know if it was mentioned, but Shane is both scoring and not only against the Ducks and Sharks, which is what we all needed for him to show he's legit. And I think that actually is a really good point. Shane has 11 goals in his NHL career, in his 41-game NHL career at this point. Tonight was the first one against a team that is actually in playoff position right now.
That's huge. Congrats, Shane. Let's
Oh,
go.
good for Shane. And that has been one of the caveats with his production is that I think 6 of those 11 goals are against the Ducks and Sharks. The others are against some teams that are maybe not so good, but the Devils are a good team and you still see Shane scoring. So I think that actually is pretty reassuring.
Yeah, there you go, Shane. That is really cool. That is a good one. I think that's something that a lot of Kraken fans are probably going to want to hear. So if you take anything that we say tonight and you go and talk to fellow Kraken fans, maybe make it that one, everybody. And Shane should go out and celebrate RJ and the best that Newark has to offer for Shane Wright tonight. Let's go.
I don't know that I would recommend that, but you're not far away from New York City. I would say maybe go and find something that they have.
Sit on the bus for the 35 minutes it takes to go somewhere else and then do it.
Here's the thing. I imagine the team is probably not staying in Newark tonight. I imagine they'd probably go out closer to where their next opponent is.
I would be shocked. It wouldn't have surprised me if last night they didn't stay in the city and then they just bust out for this game.
Well, I saw Grubauer posting something from Manhattan on his Instagram story yesterday, so yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
That checks out. So there you go. All right. We kind of did a little bit of a preview on the Rangers a little bit earlier, RJ. We saw this team not that long ago. Look, they're potentially figuring things out right now. I do think that, guys have been struggling for them. We'll see if tonight kind of was a get right moment for some of them, whether it's a Vincent Trocheck or Mika Zibanejad. They were both able to pick up points tonight. We'll see if they kind of get going, but their depth has not looked particularly good this year. Outside of their extreme depth, guys like Capo Caco have been playing really well, actually. But their star level depth has not looked great this year. And particularly the blue line has been thin for them. And it does technically get thinner with Trouba going out. I mean, that was minutes he was munching for that group. I would argue it potentially makes that group better, but it means somebody is going to have to draw into the rotation that wasn't good enough to play on that blue line before.
Yeah, I would agree. It's probably addition by subtraction with Trouba coming out, because there were some moments in that first game, and the one in Seattle, where I was wondering, what are you doing? Why are you positioned there? So that's going to be maybe even a little improvement, but still, there are a lot of the Rangers' best players that are not playing at the top of their game right now. And I think that just makes getting on top of them, just keeping that kind of simplified pressure game all the more important. The Kraken were able to get some chances that way in that game in Seattle and put some real good looks on Jonathan Quick. And I think if they can just replicate that, you're probably going to get more of the bounces now than you did in the last game. And the Rangers probably won't be as good as they were in that one either. So if you bring your A game, I think they're a beatable team.
Yeah, and I don't know which goalie we're going to get, if we might see Jonathan Quick again, given the success he had against this team earlier in Seattle, or if we get Igor Shesterkin. I am intrigued to see if Shesterkin kind of figures things out, because Shesterkin's been having a bad year. Like, it's been a bad year, but it has been a long kind of, drawn out contract negotiation for him. That is over as of a couple hours ago. We'll see if maybe that's a catalyst for him to get right. But if he's playing against the Kraken, hopefully it's not.
Yeah. I mean, we did see earlier this season, actually it was right before the start of the season, when Joey got his deal done and what that's done for him mentally and the amazing run of play he was able to have. So again, the message to everyone should be, this is a dangerous team. Like you said earlier, they just figured their stuff out. You got to play your absolute best.
Exactly. All right, everybody. I think that's going to do it for us for this one. I want to thank everybody for joining us for Post Game Live. Again, want to thank everybody for all of the super chats. We really, really appreciate that. You guys have all been very, very generous and kind these last couple games, and that is, not being taken for granted by us at all. So definitely want to say one more thank you for that. Thanks to the Kraken for putting in another great effort tonight and playing a good close game against the New Jersey Devils. This was the most fun we've had in a loss for a Post Game Live in a while, and I am appreciative of that.
Yeah, ultimately, big thanks to the Seattle Kraken for just putting in the efforts that make these post games super easy. If they can just keep that going, it's going to be fun, win or lose.
Definitely. So we'll see everybody back here on Sunday early afternoon, probably.
Yeah. 10 a.m. start time, everyone. Don't sleep past it.
Yeah, get ready. Get the split screen going for football and all that good stuff. So see y'all then.